gets clients. They just don't realize it.
Right. Okay. Well, you talk a lot about referrals, and and what I would like to know is that when you have a new coach that's fresh out of whatever coaching college they went to or whatever, and they might not have had that opportunity to build up a little network where they can get referrals, where would be the greatest place to start for those new coaches in order to build up and generate clients?
Well, the whole premise of the question, and it's a good question because it's what every coach asks me at the start of the prosperity school. It's a good question, but I would say that I will not work with that question because it's got too many plurals in it. It's like clients, lists, and things like that. If you have one client and you do great work with that one client, you will get referrals from that one client. You have to. There's no way that it won't happen. So what happens is coaches think in these grand terms about I need lots of clients, I need many referrals, and the mind shuts down because the mind can only do one thing at a time. And they forget to do great work with the one client they have. And so that one client is not going out telling all his friends and family members about the great work he's doing with you. He's just saying, yeah, it's okay, it's going all right, I have a coach, he's kind of expensive, and that's all he says.
Yeah.
So nobody's inquiring and saying, well, how can I work with him? How can I get that great result? So if you'll focus on the one, if you're a new coach, focus on the one client you have, do great work, and look in your computer to see who else you want to talk to about the work you do. And I've never had it fail that clients who come into the prosperity school who use this system and really do it, they build their practices really quickly. But they have to drop all those old ideas about these plural words, referrals, clients, things like that.
So it's almost like you get the focus back on the client, and
Exactly.
by working on that client, that's when the clients open up in a way, because you've done such great with them. Not you found out the new strategies for building up a client base.
You're right, and I have a friend who's a great coach. His name is Jim Manton. He's been coaching for 15 years. He has never once sold, enrolled, marketed, or done anything like that to get a client. When he went into coaching, he left a business he was in. When he went into coaching, he got one client, and he did such a great job with that one client that client told all his business associates, he told all his friends, he told everyone at the golf club, and those people came to Jim and they said, I've heard about the work you've done with our friend, will you talk to me? And he's never ever had to market or sell. Everything's come from that first client he had.
I remember, as you're talking about that now, one of your colleagues, Rich Litfin, he was having an interview, and he was saying the first year he only made $4,000, but he's earning a lot now. But he again focuses on that one client that you have. Make sure that when they leave you, that they're going to refer you to someone because of the work that you've done.
Exactly right.
Okay, so when we look at the actual, going back to the coaching, what would you say are the core traits that symbolize a great coach?
Well, number one would be commitment to the client's results. So I want to talk to my client. What do you want? What's missing in your life? Why are we working together? What do we want to create together? And then when the client tells me, and we really find it, is that really what you want? Why do you want it? Maybe we could get something faster than that. When we finally figure that out, the core trait for a great coach is my commitment to having that occur, and to our work together, and to the person I'm working with. And you can demonstrate commitment in so many ways. For example, I had a person inquire about the coaching school. Well, I noticed, so I did a Google search on the person before I got back to him, and I found he had a website and he'd written many blogs. Well, I took an hour and read all of his blogs, and then I called him. Now, when I talked to him, he realized I had read every single one of his blogs. And so that's called commitment to the client. That's not like me saying if you pay me, I'll be committed to you. That's empty sales talk. I'm already demonstrating commitment to him.
And he wasn't even paid up to the school yet,
Oh, absolutely not. He's just asking about it. And that's how people get clients, by demonstrating their commitment to the other person.
Okay, so commitment. Anything else that you would say about the core traits, or is that?
Well, then always being a perpetual student, being willing to go to seminars, being willing to watch YouTube coaching sessions of other coaches, great coaches, and they're all over the internet. Being willing to read the latest books on breakthroughs in personal growth, things like that. Being a perpetual student makes you a great coach. Being willing to be coached makes you a great coach. I always want to be coached because it keeps me up on how coaching works, and it improves me so I can be a role model for my clients.
Okay, so when we look at that, you said about being a constant learner, and you have your coaching school where it's focused on building up their coaching practice. Where would you recommend coaches should go if they want to actually increase their skills as a coach? Because there's a lot of places around, and some of them aren't so good, and then some of them are pretty premium. So where would you recommend?
Well, yeah, and I would say most of them aren't so good. They really give you a way to tell people you're certified, which I've never really known to matter to anybody. I've coached and trained over 30 Fortune 500 companies. They've never asked me whether I was certified or I had a degree. They only want to know one thing: can you help me? That's all anybody wants. So the place I recommend people go is Michael Neal's school. Michael Neal is a friend of mine. We go back a few years. But he realized that all the people that he knew came out of coaching certification schools. They really weren't any better as a coach.
Yeah.
They were just able to say they were certified. So he started an academy, and his dream was, what if I bring in the best teachers and coaches in the whole world to teach these people how to coach? So he's got that going on. I've participated in his first two, what he calls super coach academies, and that's where I send people who want to be better as a coach and really learn how to coach. Another place that's really good for that is the University of Santa Monica. The University of Santa Monica has a 2-year program in spiritual psychology. And people like Stephen McGee, Steve Hardison, Ian Van Zandt, people come out of there really knowing how to coach. So that's another profoundly powerful program for people who want to learn how to coach.
So Michael Neal and the University of Santa Monica.
Right.
Brilliant. Okay. And when you because you participate in the Super Coach, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, and you find that when people leave there, they have enough tools to be able to, and enough of a mindset to be able to go out there and really coach in a way that you prescribe and people like Michael Neal prescribe as well.
Yes, because the coach, the school has them practice throughout really thoroughly, so they don't get away with just sitting back and taking it in as information. It's really hands-on, very participatory, and they have to get a large number of hours of coaching in for them to be certified, and the coaching is monitored by really great master coaches. So that's the school that I recommend the most, because people emerge with the ability to coach. Now, whether they'll do it, whether they have the confidence to get clients, is another question. But if you would sit a client in front of that coach, they would coach them quite well.
Cool. So going to that school and your school, you're pretty much well on your way.
Well, that's what a lot of people do.
Yeah.
They do Michael's school and do my school after that, so they can actually get clients.
Brilliant. So you have a number of products out as well that sideline your coaching business together, and I think the most recent one is Time Warrior, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah. And from your experience, what would of working with clients, what would you say are the main roadblocks that hold people back from getting what they want? What are the main things that kind of stop them?
Well, number one is they have a artificially limited view of what they can do. So the main roadblock is the client believes many things are not possible to do. And the coach can actually demonstrate that all these things you don't think you can do or can be done, you can do. Or the things you think might take 2 years to do, you can do it next week if you're willing to experiment. So the biggest roadblock clients have is their story in their mind about how limited life is, how hard life is. And then the second biggest roadblock is the client's story about money, how hard it is to ask for money, all their psychological wounds around money when they were growing up, what their parents passed on to them, all the fears, all the superstitions around money. No wonder they can't make any money. Yes, sorry. I'm finished.
Oh, right, okay. And these are even from the fortune companies as well, the people that you work from the fortune.
Yeah, absolutely. Even those people, they have their own set of sophisticated fears. So when I go in to train a sales team in a top international company, they have fears about talking to other people. The average salesperson only spends 1.5 hours a day actually selling, and the rest of the time they spend avoiding selling. Now, yeah, it's just being busy and saying, "Boy, what a busy day! I didn't have any sales today, but I hope fortune will smile on me tomorrow. But what a busy day I had." And the truth is, no sale ever occurred outside of a conversation, ever in history. But they didn't have any conversations, or if they did, they were very short. So no wonder they didn't sell anything. So my work is to show them where sales really come from, and then take away the fear of talking to other people.
And when you point that out to them that only 1.5 hours of their day is selling, are they pretty surprised? Are they like, surely I do more than that?
Well, yes, they pretend to be surprised and shocked, and then they start arguing back, and then we look at their day planner, and we have them really talk about what happened yesterday. What did you do in the first hour of the day? And we find out they were not in conversation. They were outside of conversations. So they catch on pretty quickly. So if we could get the 1.5 up to 3 hours a day, just 3 hours a day, they will double their sales, which they do.
Okay, cool. And like your new book being Time Warrior and Time Management, would you say that's a large factor these days with information overload and a lot of people saying you should do this, you should do that, and just having that book, I imagine, has been a big help for a lot of people.
Yes, it's really it is the biggest problem people have today, is managing their time and wondering what to do with all the information overload they get from everybody, from their family members as well, who are texting them and sending them messages on Facebook, and now it's just a communication overload. And so how do I create a life based on this? Otherwise, I'm just in a defensive mode all day, reacting all day.
Yeah.
And I want to get out ahead of that and be on the offense, and I want to be proactive. And the warrior part of Time Warrior is you have to really be a warrior about saying no throughout your day and cutting out all these things that you were spending time on, so that you've got space, you've got solitude, you've got